Everyone, remain calm.
Yeah, that's how it always starts. But then later there's running and screaming.
Somebody talk to me! What is happening?
Welcome to Jurassic World.
You're listening to the Jurassic Park Podcast.
You want to consult here or in my bungalow? Hold on to your butts.
Well, we're back.
Hello and welcome to the 106th episode of the Jurassic Park Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Jost, and we're here to discuss all things Jurassic Park. In this episode, we have some fun news to get through, another installment of the radio play Extinction Level Jurassic Park from Arjun Boss, so stay tuned to hear Act 1, which features some really interesting behind-the-scenes audio of one of my favorite scenes from any of the films. After that, we'll have another Pulse segment at long last, this time covering the sadder moments of the Jurassic Park franchise. Typically, we like to stay upbeat and positive here on the podcast, but this week I figured we'll figure out what makes you all cry the hardest when it comes to these films. It's another packed episode, so let's get things started off with a bit of Jurassic news from around the world.
18 minutes and your company catches up on 10 years of research.
Access main program. Access new security.
These pictures were taken in hospital in Costa Rica 48 hours ago.
I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but look.
Boy, do I hate being right all the time.
But today, I guarantee it.
The fifth film in the Jurassic series has wrapped filming. Incredible. Just incredible to think about. There is so much that we don't know at this point, and yes, we are all dying to find out just the slightest details about the film. And some of these wrap posts that we have coming up here from the cast and crew may give us a few details, but first let's take a look at what director J.A. Bayona had to say. This is a wrap for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. What a journey. Thank you to everyone that made it possible. Fallen Kingdom actress Daniela Pineda posted a great summary via Instagram. We are done. The cosmos have blessed me with this life-changing experience. I met so many beautiful souls working on this film, and I grew as a person. I had the privilege to learn and observe. This was one of those freak life-changing experiences that happened to me, and I cried a lot. Happy tears. I am thankful for the tremendous woman power of both the UK and Hawaii crew. Bryce, Chris, Justice, and Ted, wow, I love you very much. These actors had my back every step of the way. I laughed my brains out. I laughed so hard I got yelled at by producers in between takes. Beline, I love you. Memories that will sit in my mind as precious gems. Our director J.A. Bayona is the Dali of directors. The artist who gets the job done while making you feel loved and safe. What a wonderful chapter of my life. Thank you. I feel humbled and honored to be a small thread in the fabric of this prodigious community. Cheers to Jurassic World. Get ready. And just before wrapping up, Frank Marshall tweeted this. Last group of animatronic dinos ready for the final day of shooting. Congrats to all on wrapping Fallen Kingdom. Now, he posted that along with a picture of a potential shooting location from the film. Now, if you don't want to hear, I'd fast forward just a few seconds. But like usual, I typically treat released pictures from official members of the franchise, like the directors or the cast, stuff like that, as non-spoiler. But anyway, it looks like we may see the Jurassic Traders location from Main Street once again. Now, it may not be as pristine as it once was, but they'll definitely still have some plush dinosaurs available for anybody that wants to pick one up. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this area comes into play once again. They might not actually touch on this, they might just walk by, who knows what'll happen. But like I said before, this is an official released image, not something leaked, so it's more acceptable to chat about it and discuss it with you all. Which kind of leads me to the next picture here. Again, officially released, this time by Colin Trevorrow, congratulating the cast and crew on the wrapped filming. Again, skip ahead if you don't want to hear anything about this picture, but I wouldn't worry too much. It's not too spoilery, but he did include a picture of director J.A. Bayona thoughtfully staring into the mouth of a mid-sized dinosaur. It's slightly hard to tell from the perspective of where everybody's standing, or where Bayona's standing, or where the dinosaur is, but it looks somewhere in between the size of a raptor head and a T-Rex head, somewhere in the middle there. It's tough to say though because we are only catching a glimpse of the very edges of the jaw, but there are a few things that you can tell via the picture. This dinosaur does seem to be in some sort of cage. It does look to have very dark black skin, and the teeth are a bit mangled, sort of along the lines of how crazy the teeth looked on the Indominus Rex. Now, it's impossible to pinpoint what it is specifically, but do we think this is another hybrid based on those teeth and the skin color? Or is it some other typically identifiable dinosaur that we just can't tell from this standpoint? Time will surely tell, but I'm sure this will bring loads of conversation to the fandom, so let's all break it down together. Anyway, it's incredible that yet again another Jurassic film has completed filming, so now we have to look forward to trailers and other promotional material, and soon enough it will be June 2018, and we'll all be in the theaters watching this movie. But until then, head to our show notes, take a look at those tweets, the images, and other posts pertaining to the film wrapping of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Some set pictures from the final days of shooting have seen the light of day, and they reveal the outfits of Bryce and Chris, whatever they'll be wearing during at least a portion of the film. I won't tell you here for spoilers' sake, just in case anybody doesn't want to know what they're wearing, but let's just say they're both very practical in their attire. Maybe not for the situation that they're in, but we surely shouldn't see any complaints about shoe wear or anything else in the next film. Anyway, if you do want to take a look at the pictures, I've posted a link to the BDH Network's gallery showcasing all those pictures, so head to our show notes for that link. This week in our show notes, you'll find a fun Jurassic Park based video from the YouTube channel Chris and Jack. Back on July 6th, they posted a video of their celebration of the Jurassic Park franchise, or the first film, where they hyped up an amazing party to celebrate the film, watch it with a ton of people. So did their July 6th park celebration pan out? Well, you'll have to head to our show notes to find out. Take a look at the video.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
And now let's hear Act 1 from Extinction Level Jurassic Park.
Act 1. The Call. Early in the morning, after the San Diego incident, now the world had come to learn the reality of the animals living again returned from extinction, John Hammond gave an interview with CNN from his home in New York. The CNN team had set up their cameras, lights and reflectors in his dark upstairs living room adjacent to his bedroom. John, 74 years old, was physically battling for his health. A good layer of makeup hid the illness that was slowly working its way on him, even as he sat in the chair, facing the reporter, who had almost finished the interview, giving John the opportunity to speak his heart. No longer as CEO of InGen, but as the frontrunner to preserve the animals and keep the islands intact.
John, I want to thank you for this opportunity. To close our interview, could you tell the audience in your own words what you think should be done about the island?
Straight at the camera?
Yes, please.
Okay. I would say this. It is absolutely imperative that we work with the Costa Rican Department of Biological Preserve to establish a set of rules for the preservation and isolation of that island. These creatures require our absence to survive, not our help. And if we could only step aside and trust in nature, life will find a way.
That's wonderfully put.
It was, but this was only moments before John Hammond would become aware of an InGen secret that even he didn't know about yet.
We'll broadcast this later today when we have an update on the Navy's return of the dinosaur to Isla Sorna. Thank you.
You are most welcome.
Mr. Hammond, we have an urgent call for you. Dr. Gutierrez. He says you know him. It's about the animals.
Gutierrez? Ah, yes. Thank you.
The woman, Eliza, employed by John Hammond, helped him getting up, and leaning on his famous amber-tip cane, John said his goodbye to the CNN crew, who were already switching off the cameras, rolling up cables and packing the equipment.
If you'll please excuse me, Alfred here will show you out once you've finished packing.
Taking his time, John slowly walked to his desk in the darkened bedroom, picking up the horn of the phone and pressing the button to take the call from Dr. Martin, or Marty, Gutierrez, the doctor who was stationed in Costa Rica at the time they brought in the little girl that got bitten on the island. The event that eventually escalated to the San Diego incident.
Hello? Doctor? Yes? Tell me, Martin, what's the matter?
It's the little girl.
Oh my, she didn't die, did she?
No, but I found something. The animals that bit her, they seem to be carriers of a disease.
What kind?
That's just it. We couldn't identify it. This is something new.
Who knows about it?
I think we need to inform the World Health Organization.
You haven't yet, have you?
No. You told me to come to you if anything came up. So for now, it's just you and me. But I think we should take that little girl back to quarantine.
No.
Not to mention the island where she caught it. We have no idea if this is contagious or...
Please, just wait a moment. You're calling from...
John looks down at the display on his phone to check the calling number. Taking a closer look, he deciphers the area code.
Virginia?
Yeah, I'm currently working from our research facility up here in Richmond.
I can come to you. Where are you exactly?
Gutierrez leaves his address, while John notes it down.
Good. Now, just hold on and don't talk to anyone about this yet. People might overreact. I fear for my animals.
Shouldn't we fear more for us?
Codswallop, Martin, don't you start. Just hold on. Give me a few hours. I'll be there.
Alright, I'll wait.
Thank you, Martin.
Hanging up, John immediately picks up the horn again, only to dial a new number. Waiting.
Henry, dear boy, how are you? Good. Clear your schedule. I need you to come with me to Richmond, Virginia. Today, I'll send you a driver to pick you up. Where are you? Thanks again, Henry. Much appreciated. Right.
John walked to the door and gave his assistant a note.
Lizzie, could you get me a driver to pick up Henry? I will meet them at my jet.
Sure, but are you sure you're fit to travel?
Don't worry, my dear. Thank you, but I must go.
Okay, consider it done.
Leaning on Eliza with one arm, the other on his cane, they walked down the stairs, and at the front door Eliza called two drivers for him, one to pick up Henry, and the other to take him to the airport, where they would prepare his jet for the 2-hour flight to Richmond, Virginia. Never had John suspected the gravity of the situation for which Dr. Gutierrez had called him this early morning, but he would soon learn that he was not the only one good at keeping InGen secrets. Well, that's it for episode 2. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to it as much as I did making it. But as you may have noticed, I did not do it alone, so I want to thank the people who helped me create this. But first of all, thank you, Brad, for your support in airing these fragments on your podcast. Next, I'd like to thank James Hawkins of Jurassic Unicast, who voiced the roles for John Hammond and Gutierrez, and his wife, who recorded for the CNN reporter. And of course, a thank you to my wife, Erika Salazar, who voiced for John Hammond's assistant, Eliza. Last but not least, I'd like to thank everyone who's already working with me on upcoming episodes. You guys make this creative adventure so much fun to work on. Then a call for those who would like to participate. For upcoming episodes, I'm still looking for fans who would like to fill in a small or larger role in English as well as some Spanish ones. So if you're interested, be sure to contact me on Twitter at BOS_ARJAN. Thank you all, and until the next episode of Extinction Level Jurassic Park.
Dodson, we've got Dodson here!
Just went and made a new dinosaur?
That doesn't look very scary.
You are alive when they start to eat you.
This week we are back with another poll segment, and if you haven't heard one of these before, typically they're very fun and we get to learn a lot about what you all think about certain aspects of the film. This week it might not be as fun because I asked you, what is the saddest moment or scene from the Jurassic franchise? I personally had a few that popped into my mind, but I wanted to find out what you guys think because I think everybody has a different take on certain things like this. So why don't we get into it? I got a ton of responses. This is like probably some of the most responses. I guess you all really love these sad moments in the franchise. But let's start over here on Twitter. This one comes from Fede. He says, Hammond talking about Petticoat Lane. It's heartbreaking. If you think about the fact that this man's lifetime dream has been crushed in one day. At Madi Zaidan, hopefully I said that right, says, Hammond's speech and the Apatosaurus death. Absolutely. That Apatosaurus dying really brings a tear to me every time I watch it. It's inevitable. But I think a lot of people are going to agree with you here. Brandon Klyla here says, Hammond's flea circus story. Yes, and Fede mentioned it just before. The flea circus story is so sad, and just, you see that his emotions and his dreams have been crushed, and he talks about like his past in such a sentimental way. It is truly touching and very sad to see this realization that he's been crazy this whole time, so it's very sad. Chris Lanham, I'm gonna pass this. He said Jurassic Park 3. Forget about that. No. Caleb Burnett here says, Hammond's Petticoat Lane moment, the captured Rex in the Lost World, though Ian and Sarah redeemed it, and definitely the Jurassic World Apatosaurus scene. So yeah, we got a lot of repeats here, and definitely, I think because they're very emotional in general, so it's obvious that a lot of these are going to be the same. Austin Young here says, the Apatosaurus graveyard scene, it was heart-wrenching. I felt so terrible for them. Easiest Jurassic poll question I've ever answered. Yeah, you're right. Just not even just the Apatosaurus itself, but when Owen and Claire get up and look and see the devastation upon the entire Gyrosphere Valley there, that's messed up. What was wrong with that Indominus? Come on. Joseph Garber here says, as a hand pulls Sarah to safety in the Lost World, she realizes that Eddie sacrificed himself so the three of them could live. Sad, but courageous. Wow, that necessarily wasn't one that came right to my mind, but come to think about it, I think that was probably the first moment she realized that he's not there anymore. And of course the SUV did fly over the cliff, but maybe there was some hope that he jumped out or did something, got to safety somehow. But no, he didn't. Raphaelosaurus says, when the dinosaurs were captured by InGen, Parasaurolophus. Yes, that one in particular, the moaning of that dinosaur as it gets its legs pulled out from under it, that's so sad. That is incredibly sad. Mr. Nemesis 2003 says, what had me sad and shocked at the same time was when the Rex ate the dog in Jurassic Park The Lost World. Yeah, you're right. Very sad. That is horribly sad. Come to think about it, when you actually put it into perspective, for that family and how sad that must have been, that's pretty upsetting. At Velociraptor82 says, the Apatosaurus death scene is the saddest. That was the first time I cried watching a Jurassic movie. Agreed, that's pretty upsetting. Bastazilla says, Apatosaurus death scene from Jurassic World. Again, yep. Aaron here says, Spino versus Rex was one of the best scenes, not the saddest. The scene that I find sad is Owen's final head shake to Blue before she runs free. Yeah, I can see what you mean there. That it's basically like letting a pet free or just the acknowledgement that they had together and they now know that their friendship is essentially over. So yeah, that is pretty sad. Lewis Lee here says, haven't heard Brachio's sound on the helipad. Yeah, that moment in general, it's very sad. And he went on here to say, actually, after Nedry's betrayal, I was so sad at every Hammond scene. Petticoat Lane, when they decided to shut down the system, and the escape. Cristiela Morano says, T-Rex in the Lost World Jurassic Park. Yeah. Definitely pretty sad. Armas Pool here says, Jurassic Park 3 when the Spinosaurus broke the T-Rex's neck. Yeah, I know a lot of people are angry about this particularly, and it is kind of sad. You see this hero from the first movie, but it was kind of turned back into a villain again in the second movie, but you had some hope for that character because it was all about family. And then this one in the third movie just gets killed. right off the bat. So that is definitely pretty sad. Roberto Moreno says,
the last scene of Jurassic Park, when Grant grabs Hammond by the arm after one last sad look back to his dream. I always thought as a kid while watching this, it has to be possible. This park just can't fail. I always shed a tear there, and that's why.
At Jurassic_Rachel says,
probably not the most sad, but the moment in Jurassic World when the raptor gets killed, literally blown up, right in front of Owen.
Justin J. Peterson says,
the Petticoat Lane scene between Hammond and Sattler, you see a broken, regretful man reflecting on his past, mistakes, and hopes. Plus, it's a tender, quiet moment with two phenomenal actors in the middle of a blockbuster popcorn movie. I think that's pretty special.
El Hermano says,
I'll say Petticoat Lane, but also the dino hunt in The Lost World. That moment with the Parasaurolophus is really sad.
Yeah, it is very sad. At Angus Galliano says,
Petticoat Lane scene. The scene was heavily character driven and you feel the sense of tragic non-fulfillment. And he knows everything is falling apart in front of his eyes, but he'll say he'll get it right next time. Sort of like a king watching his own city burn. In his very own eyes, he has lost every asset of help for them, but he is still protected. It sort of orchestrates the most of us humans, would rather be overwhelmed and amazed by the great power of something than take it in with full responsibility and the action when it goes wrong. We know the situation can go haywire and believe things can go wrong. We are just too flattered by the amazement that sometimes we don't know when to be prepared, ultimately resulting in great consequences. I believe that was Hammond's arc by the end. It was a heartbreaking scene.
Ryan DeYoung here says,
it's been suggested before, but still Masrani talking about how his plan won't fail and how confident he was, and then that helicopter scene.
Yeah, there hasn't been a ton of love here yet for Masrani, but yeah, just he didn't get his due, there in the end. He died so quickly and so unexpectedly that, that was sad. And he did have a dream, and ultimately he sacrificed himself, and hopefully he'll live on here in some sort in the future films. Caitlin Beckinsale here says,
Ailing Triceratops for me. It may not be the saddest, I suppose, but it makes me feel the most. Sattler and the score sell this scene.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's not necessarily the most sad scene in any of this films, but it is sad to kind of see this creature hurt and not feeling too well. All right, that was a lot. I do have a lot left over. I'm sorry if I didn't get to all yours here on Twitter, but I'm going to move over to Instagram because I do have a lot there as well. Segoberto says,
the scene where John Hammond looks almost in tears at his park for the last time before he gets in the chopper, with the melancholy theme of John Williams.
Ted Brothers says,
Eddie Cars, for sure. That's all thanks to Nick and Sarah's poor decision to bring the baby T-Rex back to the trailer.
Absolutely. We heard a little bit about Eddie before, but that was more from Sarah's perspective. Eddie's death is still the most brutal death in all the entire franchise. And it's very sad because he didn't deserve it. He was trying to help people. He was genuinely a nice guy, and he just gets ripped in half. It's so sad. Steamhead_Joey says,
Hammond talking to Ellie in the dining hall, realizing what he had done, and then going back into his madness and thinking he could get it right.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know what is the more sad part about that. Him looking back on his life and realizing what he has done has not really amounted to much, or the fact that he is crazy and he continues with his flaws and says he can get things right, still almost not realizing his poor choices. I don't know what's more sad about that. Hannah says,
I hate when they're capturing the dinos in the Lost World.
Absolutely. So sad. And we talked about that several times, but especially when they're in the grouping there at the night shot when they're trying to release them all, you see all these animals just stuffed in these crates, and it is very sad. And to think about that in terms of real animals, it's still sad to think about. SGT/007 says,
the ice cream scene with Ellie, where Hammond realizes his mistake when he was just trying to do good.
Yep. Dan Squatch 2_6 says,
dying Apatosaurus scene in Jurassic World, by far. Definitely a tearjerker for me.
CJJP18 says,
the scene in Jurassic World when Lowry looks at the toy dinosaurs then shuts down the park as the music is playing.
Yeah, that is a very sad scene. You see that his time at that park is essentially finished. He knows it's done. They already talked about the park being Chapter 11 by tomorrow, and he takes his toy. I don't know why he didn't grab more. He just grabbed the one, I guess, that he liked the most. And he's out of there, and he knows, like, I'm not coming back here, let's be honest. Shuts everything down, and this amazing park that was fully operational is not going to be anymore. Ectogaza says,
definitely the Apatosaurus.
Kev_Cell123 says,
the part where John Hammond is in the chopper and looking at his amber cane, as if to think of all that might have been.
Brian of Gaunt says,
when Hammond reflects on his childhood memories and his first flea circus.
Aaron Fitzy says,
the Lost World game trail scene with the Parasaurolophus. Weirdly, I cry throughout many of the happier or more intense scenes because I just get so overwhelmed with the emotions of the characters like Ellie and Alan when they meet the Triceratops, or Ellie is crying herself, and the music too is a big part of that. I can't listen to a note without weeping.
Boring Moon 1001 says,
Apatosaurus for Jurassic World, because that's what the scene was written for.
Yeah, so I mean, are you sad about it, or are you realizing that it was written for sadness and you don't like that? I'm confused, but I get it. I kind of understand that. Sometimes movies tug at your heartstrings on purpose, and you can kind of see through that sometimes. So certainly that scene was absolutely meant to make you sad. So yeah, there's that. But at the same time, I fall for those things every time, and it does make me sad no matter what. Our friends over at the UUO podcast said,
the scene with the, sorry I don't know what they're called, dinosaur that is barely still alive after a Dominus plows through the field of them in Jurassic World.
Yeah, I think a lot of people agree with you there. Definitely, I think that one, it has to be between that and Hammond's Flea Circus, obviously are the two most called on ones here. If I'm going to name a few myself, I guess I would say, I don't know, it's very tough. One for me that kind of stands out, sad, is the fact that Grant and Ellie are no longer together, and I've talked about that before in the past, and that tugged at me pretty hard when I saw that for the first time in theaters in Jurassic Park 3. I got real upset realizing that they are no longer a couple, and you see Alan trying to interact with one of their birds that I guess they owned together, or she owned, or something like that, but you know, he doesn't remember him anymore, and yeah, that's playing on a lot of the themes of that movie, the vocal structure of the birds and whatnot. But yeah, it's very sad to me. So I guess if I was gonna pick one, I'll pick that one because it changed a lot for me. But yeah, sorry if I plowed through them there. I had tried to get through as many as possible. This was an overwhelming response here for the saddest scenes in the series. If you do have any others that have not been mentioned, feel free to send in to us. You can email us, you can send a voicemail. If you have some thoughts and you want to get them out yourself, you can call our voicemail line 732-825-7763. If you want to get your voice on our podcast here, you can definitely send a voice recording from your phone. You can, open up the app that records notes, and you can send it to us via email. Our email is JurassicParkPod@gmail.com, or you can submit, thoughts and concerns on our website via our contact form. So let us know what you think. If you have any others that are not mentioned here today, thank you very much to everybody who did participate. And again, sorry if I didn't cover yours here, but I truly appreciate you writing in and telling us your thoughts, because I read each and every one of them. Thank you, and we'll do another poll segment soon, so stay tuned. Make sure to visit JurassicParkPodcast.com to find all our past episodes, brand new news articles, information on how to contact us, and much more. It's a great source for everything related to the podcast, and of course, Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. Head to JurassicParkPodcast.com and help us build a great community.
Anybody hear that?
Thanks for listening to the 106th episode of the Jurassic Park Podcast. Of course, a big thanks to Arjun for another great installment of the Extinction level Jurassic Park series here. I am really digging this radio play. This installment gave us an incredible look at the behind the scenes of John Hammond's final speech from The Lost World. I absolutely loved that. That was amazing. I am so seriously hooked. Can't wait to hear more. Also, I can't leave here without thanking all the listeners who participated in the poll segment this week. You are all so awesome, I told you before, but hopefully I didn't bum you all out too much with the sad question. Stay tuned for the next poll segment, but for now, actually send us any emails or voicemails, and we'll get them in the next mailbag segment. If you want to interact with us, we do most of our work over on Twitter at Jurassic Park Pod. We're also on Facebook at facebook.com/Jurassic Park Podcast, and our Instagram handle is at Jurassic Park Podcast. You can listen to us via iTunes, Google Play, Podomatic, YouTube, our website, or wherever else podcasts are found. So make sure to subscribe to automatically get new episodes every week. If you haven't already, please give us a 5-star review in iTunes or a great review wherever you listen to the podcast. It will seriously help out our rankings and make it easier for fans like you to find us. Don't forget to check out JurassicParkPodcast.com for all the links you heard here today. If you want to get a hold of us, you can email us with any news stories, MP3s, comments, or if you want to debut a segment of your own, send them to JurassicParkPod@gmail.com. Or you can submit questions directly on our website contact form. If you'd like to record something for the show, send it in to us and we'll feature it in an upcoming episode. If you don't have any way to record, you can give our voicemail line a call and leave us a message. That number is 732-825-7763. Thanks for listening and enjoy.
No, I'm simply saying that life finds a way.
5 minutes. Drop what you're doing and leave now.